good, Pat? All set? All right. All right, welcome everybody to the February 26, 2018 Board of Selectmen's meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic.
That's Rich.
Rich, you got a little bit of a delay here, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll stop.
All right, thank you. All right, citizen statements and petitions. Oh, by the way, before I start, we do have one of our members participating remotely. He's in South Africa, which is one of the reasons why we're hosting this meeting at 4 o'clock. There's a 7-hour time difference. So, Rich, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And Rich, so you know, we have to do a roll call vote per our bylaws on each one of our votes tonight, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, good. All right, so citizen statements and petitions. Seeing none, hearing none. Correspondence to the board. Looks like we have one item. Consider accepting a gift for the Mendon Fire Department from a resident in the amount of $300. Mike, you want to do a motion on this?
The motion, we have the name of the person, is that okay? And we might have to, right?
Yeah.
I move to accept the gift for $300 for the Mendon Fire Department from Dana Armour.
Rich, you want a second?
Again,
I'll stop down in a second. So, I mean, it's a gift. Thank you very much. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's anything that we need to talk about on that. So, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any roll call?
aye. Schofield, aye.
Real aye.
Okay. Consider Class 2 license for Peluso Precision Auto.
I move to approve a Class 2 license for Peluso Precision Auto with 2 conditions. 1, loading and unloading of vehicles to be done on the property, and 2, not to exceed 5 vehicles for sale.
Schofield, second.
Okay, so to my understanding, this has gone in front of the planning board. These are the provisions that the planning board put in place. I believe it's gone through all the other routing slips.
Correct.
I don't really have any questions on it. Mark?
No, I'm good.
Rich, you have any questions on this?
I don't really know.
Okay, we've talked about this in the past, so it's not like we don't know what it is. We just wanted them to follow a formal process, so. That being said, any other questions on this? Nope, none. All right, I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Real aye.
Schofield, aye.
All right, Park aye. All right, consider a seasonal license to, license renewal for George's Surf and Turf, sorry.
I move to approve the seasonal license renewal for George's Surf and Turf pending the return of positive routing slips.
Rich, you want to second that?
Second.
All right.
Say, I'm having a little trouble hearing Mark. I don't know if you can put the phone in between the two of them, Kimberly, because I can hear Chris fine, but I can't hear Mark.
Well, that's because you're in between.
I'll just cue you up. How's that, Rich? And if there's any,
Mark will have to be louder
I'll yell.
okay.
this direction.
Okay, this is a common seasonal license. George's Surf and Turf has been doing business in our town for a very long time. I assume that all the positive routing slips have come back?
This is pending.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. I apologize. Okay, well, there's not much more I have on this.
Nope.
All right. All in favor?
Real aye.
Schofield, aye.
Burke, aye. Very good. Interview candidate for Council on Aging and consider appointments, and it's Brenda Rienzo.
Good afternoon. I'd like to
Is she
introduce,
there?
She's here, and we have Mr. Rudden joining us as well, who's about ready to speak.
as Chairman of the Council on Aging, I'd like to introduce you to Brenda Rienzo, who has asked to fill the vacancy on the Council on Aging, and we support her appointment to that.
Okay. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you.
What interests you on this, on the Council on Aging?
Everything, really. The services for the elders, especially the health fair, and policies about the senior center.
I'm just gonna ask Pat. Pat, can you turn the mics down a little bit? I got a really bad echo. Thank you. Great. No, you spend a lot of time down there, is that what you do?
I do. Yeah, I work on the library, and right now I'm doing the book fair organization, and I also just started doing the friendly visiting program with the outreach worker.
Oh, great.
Brenda's been a volunteer since last fall. And has been attending I think she's attended every COA meeting since last November, if I'm correct.
Okay. Mark, you got any questions?
I'm very comfortable with having Brenda on the council. I just wanted to know if I know, Kevin, you sent an email about the policy that we just came up with, and you had advertised it out there, or?
We had advertised it in the past. This is Bob Carlson's seat. Bob actually died more than a year ago.
Right.
We advertised it publicly the time Bob died. We've advertised it again last year within the senior center and the Friends of the Elders community. We did have it in the paper in late 2016.
Okay.
We had several people express interest, but Brenda is the only one who followed through in actually applying. We had people tell us they were interested. We've invited them to board meetings, but Brenda actually signed up as a volunteer. And then after about 6 months of volunteering, told us she'd like to be on the board.
Okay.
So technically that, had you filled that appointment last year, it would have expired in 19. We looked at the dates. So it's an unexpired term that would have expired in 19, June 30th of 19.
Okay.
Rich, do you have any questions?
I don't. Mrs. Rienzo is a known quantity to me. I'm sure she'd make an awesome addition to the Council on Aging, and yeah, I think she'd be good.
Great.
Mark, I'll take a motion.
Sorry? Oh, no, I know. I move to appoint Brenda Rienzo to the Council on Aging for a term to expire June 30th, 2019.
Second?
All right. All in favor?
Real aye.
Schofield, aye?
Burke, aye. Welcome.
Yeah.
Congratulations, and thank you.
Welcome aboard.
No, tomorrow. But the town clerk gets
Go home. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much for willing to step up.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you.
All right. Kevin, don't go too far. Consider Board of Assessors request to hire legal counsel specializing in property tax abatement appeals. Mike, you want to give us a motion on that?
Sure, I move to approve the request from the Board of Assessors to hire legal counsel specializing in property tax abatement appeals.
Waiting for a second, Rich?
Yeah, sorry, second?
Okay. All right, so this, Kevin, you want to just give us a quick update from assessor's standpoint?
Yeah, Bruce Wheeler, who's the developer building the Sylvan Springs development on Northbridge Road, is what I would call him a serial abatement filer. He's applied for an abatement every year that he's been owning and building the subdivision. We managed on our own to settle a multi-year claim last year, which was easier given it was the recession years and not a lot of building going on, and you could come to a conclusion. But he's filed again, and he'll file again. And the assessing consultant we use suggested that we get somebody fluent in what the appellate tax board does. And For those who don't know, if you apply for a property tax abatement and the local board of assessors denies it, your next vehicle for the property owner is to make an appeal to the state agency known as the Appellate Tax Board. And that gets to be, when you're talking, over 30 lots, that gets to be a rather formal procedure and really requires people who have argued cases before there, and understand the procedures, how it goes. And most, although we haven't checked it, most town councils don't have that specific expertise. And our feeling is if we defend ourselves correctly this time and win, Mr. Reeler would be less likely to continue doing this in the future. And where we are in terms of what he thinks the lots are valued at and what we think the lots are valued at is miles apart. And I don't think you can compromise on that, given if somebody were to buy a lot for development right now in Mendon, we have a pretty good idea on what they'd have to pay. And I would say he's tens of thousands below that on multiple lots. And this is why we have the assessor's overlay account to handle these things, but we think he's way out of line and we want to defend it. We're not out to wantonly spend the town's money, but we think a proper lawyer would adequately defend the town and let us win this appeal.
Did the council that you're looking at, do you have any idea, if you haven't looked at council yet and you just looked?
We haven't looked, we wanted to get your approval first.
Yeah, any idea of what this thing might cost the community?
I don't, but we would try to limit it to just what we need. I mean, right now, we need somebody to ask for an extension because we're due up in April. And normally, they prepare interrogatories and make the person appealing substantiate why they think the lots are worth substantially less than we do. And their counsel would then ask that of us. And
How many lots are we talking about, Kevin?
How many lots?
how many lots?
Probably about 45.
45 lots?
Yeah.
This is the reason for us asking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a substantial amount. If you multiply that by tens of thousands he's looking for on each lot, you're up in the tens of thousands he's looking for an abatement. We don't think it's warranted.
Right.
This isn't somebody saying my assessment's high by $5,000.
The only thing I would ask is, if possible, because you mentioned you haven't found anyone yet, is that,
No, we haven't looked.
could we maybe just work with town council, if they don't have anyone in their office, work with them to find someone? Is that,
Or we could recommend somebody that they interview.
yeah, something just,
I mean, it's a very small community of people that argue there, so either
Yeah.
they know somebody or we'd find somebody.
Does the builder have a timeline strategy on completing the project? No?
He's, right now, it's a good time frame, and he's selling them pretty rapidly, but he's led us to believe that he will file every year in the future until he's sold out.
Okay.
And I believe that a solid win would discourage him from doing that.
Okay. Rich, you have any questions on this?
I don't, but I'd be able to hear it. But I have some historical information on the issue, so I think I'm comfortable for the moment.
Okay. Any other further comments or questions on this? All right. So we'll take a vote. All in favor?
real eye.
Schofield, aye.
Okay, Burke, aye.
Thank you,
Very good.
gentlemen. We will,
Yep,
we will get back to you as soon as we either talk to the person our consultant recommended or talk to your town council to see who they recommend.
Okay, you can just work through Kim on Kim's office on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna pass over number 8. I'm sorry, table, I apologize. Number 9, consider Old Mohawk Preservation Contract for roof repairs.
I'm sorry, Selectman Burke. Just a quick question. I want to make sure I was following along right. So we're gonna table considering naming the roadway.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks. I got it.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Is anyone here for 60 North Avenue? Yep, so we're skipping over that for now.
Yeah, we're not through planning board yet anyway. John and I with Ian Realty.
Oh, okay, yep.
We're still not through planning board. We don't have our final approvals yet. We don't have our order conditions. We've got approval from Concom, but we don't have our order conditions yet, so it is still a little early.
Okay. All right, very good, thank you. All right, so, number 9, consider Old Mohawk Preservation Contract for roof repairs at 18 Main Street.
I move to enter into a contract with Old Mohawk Preservation for the roof repairs at 18 Main Street in the amount of $48,500.
Richard?
I'm sorry, I didn't get any of that.
You just read the motion on entering into the contract.
Second. Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we'll try to speak a little bit louder for you.
Can you pull that? Like,
Yeah.
No, it's not the volume. He's garbling for some reason because he's too far away from the phone, but I'm
Can I unplug this?
doing pretty good follow.
We'll make it. I'm gonna move the phone over in between me and Mark.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear Kim?
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Nice and clear.
Good.
All right, so Mark, I'll take a motion on that.
I did. I read the motion and Rich is second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just seconded it, yeah.
I apologize. All right, so Kim, you want to give us an update on this?
Sure. The old Taft Library is in need of repair. Funds for this project were approved at an STM a while back. This quote was from a specialist, Old Mohawk. The price is $48,500. It is comparable with other bids that we received, and so we are ready to move forward. Estimated work would begin in the spring.
Very excited to get that
That's
work done.
CPA money, you said? Did you say that?
Correct, yes.
Okay. I'm just excited to get the work done. So,
Great.
Rich, you have any questions on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm something. So again, Kimberly, we're going to go with a modified proposal, right? Did you say that?
It's a proposal that includes the plywood layer.
Okay, good. And no copper gutters, right?
Correct.
Yeah, replace the ones that are there. Yep, I'm good.
Okay, any further questions or comments on this? Well,
Yeah, one more from me. Just what was the final number again, Kim?
48,500.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, good. I'm ready.
okay, all in favor?
Real eye.
Schofield, aye.
All right, Burke, aye. All right, discuss the FY19 budget. Now,
Okay.
Turn it over to you, Kim. Do we have the budget to
Yep,
forward?
right here. As you know, FinCom started meeting last week. We had our first meeting canceled because of weather. We did the elected boards last week. This week we'll be doing police, highway. The status of the bottom line hasn't changed. Everything has been removed from the budget that was requested except for level service for this current year. That leaves us with an excess of about $168,000. I have highlighted on the last page the requests from the departments that I think that should be included in this year's budget, in no particular order, but in priorities in general.
Okay, can I ask a quick question before you go on?
Yes,
Yeah, you said the word excess, which if it's what I think it is, I don't particularly like that word for it. But are you talking about the levy headroom that we're leaving to keep the taxes down for the residents? Is that what you're referring to?
I am not. In fact, after the board's choice to continue to leave the levy headroom of $168,000, we have an additional $168, just happens to be the same number, available after removing everything that was an add-on to the budget. That is the remainder.
Okay, and when you say you removed everything, you removed even the school resource officer for the moment?
Correct. None of those requests are in the budget. They are part of my recommended list.
Okay. Now, obviously, just for anybody listening, not that we're going to leave it that way, but that's just our starting point, right? That's where we're going to take it from there, guys, right?
Right.
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure we were all in alignment there, thank you.
Which stays in concert with the methodology that we've done for the last 4 years, 5 years.
100%.
Okay.
And so that you're aware, because the board hasn't made a decision yet on which items, if any, you're going to be including in the FY19 budget, I have been explaining to FinCom that no decision has been made. However, I'd like to move forward, not with a decision, but with the assumption, based upon conversations, that maintenance, a part-time maintenance person with a maintenance budget and a school resource officer are priorities for this year's budget if funding are available. And the assessors have also asked for some additional money in overlay, which I assume they will speak to you about, and then obviously a reserve for negotiations. Those are the things that I think we need to prioritize if funding is available when we are making final decisions. Everything else will have to be debated.
I agree.
Yeah, and you look, if even, I don't know what you guys think, but even if it's just a little bit, I'd like to still creep that headroom up, whatever we can do.
Yeah, I mean, well, based off of these priorities that Kim's highlighted, and I assume you got the budget in front of you, Rich?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so if we look at all of her priority ones, they total 165. I mean, it's not a huge delta, but that gives us a little bit of surplus there. And, you know,
Yes, assuming we take all those, right?
assuming we do.
Probably that's what we'll do, but yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not huge dollars on the headroom, but it, I guess the other approach we could do is, it's all level services at this point, so there's probably not much more we can do except not take one of these recommendations, right?
Right. And you don't have to decide right now. This is just, as we're meeting with the departments with FinCom, it's better to have some direction on where the board is leaning with what they are going to be using, you know, moving forward with,
Right.
rather than this entire list. There's no point in debating 45 things when only 5 can be funded.
Right. Right. Does that make sense to you, Rich?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I agree with taking that approach. It's a good starting point, and I think that, you know, obviously, our goal has been to keep the taxes, we've been successful over the last 3 years, keeping our tax rate flat and actually a little bit reduced this fiscal year. We want to continue on with that approach. We're taking the same strategies we've employed over prior years, and our goal is to be able to increase our services to our community while doing that. Anything to add on that, Mr. Schofield?
No, it was perfectly stated.
I would just add, you know, echoing those thoughts. I mean, the top 2 things here on this list that are kind of new in a way are the maintenance, which we have no maintenance person for our town buildings, which
Budget.
has been, you know, a challenge. And the school resource officer, you know, they've been doing what they can with the resources they have, but I think we've seen in this day and age, we really need a person, an officer that's committed to the schools. So, yeah, Kim, I would agree that those are very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think, Mr. Reel, that the maintenance person actually will wind up even in the medium term to long term, actually saving us money when we start doing proactive stuff that, you know, avoid some of the silliness we've seen, you know, where if we just put an ounce of prevention in beforehand, you know, it would have been a lot cheaper.
Right.
Being in the industry, I can guarantee that it'll be a lot cheaper utilizing somebody in-house than outsourcing it to a contractor. You know, yeah, I said it, yeah. Just one quick question, Kim, on this. So which departments still have to be met with?
Most, actually, because we've only had one meeting so far.
Okay.
So far, we've only met with, we saw the Nipmuc, Dr. Maruschek gave his presentation last meeting, and we saw the Board of Assessors, the Board of Health. It starts to blur together. Most of the elected boards. So we have 2 meeting dates set. We have one this Wednesday and another one on the 14th of March to wrap up a lot of groups.
Okay.
I assume we'll probably be adding one more meeting before that time, and then our joint meeting on the budget with the FinCom and the board is the 26th of March.
26th of March, okay. So who's next on the docket?
Highway and Public Safety.
Highway and Public Safety, okay.
Yeah, the only other comment I would have, Mr. Burke, would be just the police station offset. You know, we pretty much promised that we were going to defray some of that within the operational budget. So that's bothering me a little bit that none of it's making it in there. So I'd like to make sure we discuss that too when we get to it.
Okay, you got that, Kim?
Yep, it's still.
Okay,
I mean, that $100,000 there is 12 cents on the tax rate.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think you know where I stand on that, Rich, that, you know, it's something that will have to be managed if we choose to go in that direction.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other comments from you, Mark? Yeah, it's just a preliminary budget, so we can get you a copy. Yeah, we're not going through, are we going through the numbers today?
Well, no, it's still in draft form.
Yeah.
They can have it.
Right.
Just be aware that obviously those numbers
Our draft.
can change pretty quickly, so.
Okay. Anything else we need to talk about on the budget tonight?
No.
Any other comments or questions on the budget? Rich, anything else on the budget?
No, I'm good for now, yeah.
Good, Mark? All right.
They want
Plus-
to wait a second.
There's just stating it in general, right? I mean, unless I missed something, like you said before, Chris, there's nothing in this budget right now that wasn't there last year. I mean, it's all exact, other than CPI increases for contractual obligations, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
We have some folks in the audience that are, got some questions, Rich.
Okay.
Last page, all the way on the back, you'll see.
What we're talking about is future requests. Those are future requests that have come in front of the board. And all we're doing is we're trying to prioritize those, that if we have some headroom within the budget, we could potentially apply it to those requests. We have a few folks, Rich, just reviewing the budget right now, so looks like there's some
Yeah.
particular line items that they're concerned about.
Cool. Yeah.
Just folks, for your benefit, this is a level service budget. That means it's the same level service that we had last year. All right? And the only addition is the CPI on it. All right? No, I'm just trying to help you out. I'm just trying to help you understand that there's a lot of numbers here and stuff like that, so. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and because it's so preliminary, I mean, that's why it's, you know, this could change in and out. It's just so up in the air. It's
Yep.
early, but that's the process.
Okay. But if there's no other specific questions regarding the budget, I want to move the meeting along. Do I hear anything else?
And feel free, if you look through there and you come up with a question, let us know.
Yep. Okay, so with that being said, there's not much more to discuss here. We'll enter into executive session. So I move to enter into executive session for two purposes. Purpose 2, for executive session, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And for purpose 3, for executive session, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on bargaining or litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares.
Second.
Roll call vote is needed.
Real aye.
Schofield, aye?
Burke, aye. All right, thank you very much, everybody.